Today I'm just going to show you how I kind of go about restoring some of our foraged moss pieces. They come out of the forest kind of like this, dried up and, you know, kind of worse for the wear. But we will clean this up and I'm going to show you it's real easy. The first thing that we start doing is we start picking out all this, this extra pine needles and debris and little things, and we try not to damage the moss. Now you got to be very careful because moss is fragile. Now it's not fragile in the sense of what it's binding to, but you can see pieces here just kind of come off if you're rough with it, so especially when it's dry. So while it's dry, you got to be more careful. You see I'm already pulling moss off here, and you don't want to do that. You try not to do that, honestly. So, but it's gonna happen. So another trick to doing this is let's get it wet first, because it's much harder to take it off dry, but it's much easier to get it off wet. And washing it kind of clears up a lot of the debris in itself. So the first thing we do really is not go picking through it, because as you can see we end up damaging the moss. So let's just rinse it off with a good little spray. I like to use a flat spray like this, kind of like, you know, just low cone and nothing too hard, and then I'll just kind of go through it. I'll just kind of shoot the moss and go down and just hydrate it really well, and then we'll flip the log. And you want to do this with cold water, not with hot water, obviously. You know, you just really hydrate that side really good. And then we just go ahead and rotate this thing to get the bottom. Now when you set it on top of the moss, be really careful, but you do want to wash the bottom of this to try to get any fungus or dirt or debris or roots out of there. And you are going to need to wipe it off with your hands too. This is kind of a two-handed job. So it's hard while I'm filming here to, you know, pick out the roots. So I'm going to have to stop with the water for it. Usually I do it with the water while I'm going, but we're going to pick out the roots here and do a little bit of cleanup. And then, like I said, I usually brush the dirt off, get any extra plant matter off of here. And sometimes you're going to knock some moss off while you do it, you know. It's okay. That moss wasn't very well rooted to begin with, so we're just trying to clean this thing up. And there we go. We try to clean it out a little bit better, get in there with the water, and there we go. Clean it out really good, get those cavities cleaned out. It'll actually help bring a little more character to the wood, because it'll bring more contour to the wood. So you want to be sure that you clean it out really good, get all the dirt and debris out. Okay, so now we'll flip it again. We'll go another round at this side, just to really hydrate that moss lawn, to blow off any excess debris. And now we'll go back to the top where we started, and you can see here is the original debris that we had. And now we're going to try to just kind of pick it off here as we go. Let's see, the debris gets a little easier as the moss opens up to remove. Now sometimes it's going to want to pull wood off and moss off, and you're just going to have to live with that. So you can't have fungus growing on this extra stuff. And don't worry, the moss will grow back if we do remove some of it, and as long as we make sure it's grounded well, it will grow back. Now you see you got parts here that are actually growing in the pine needles and not on the wood. And it's going to be hard to preserve that. We can try to keep the moss there, but Or it's likely to come off or die anyway. Because it's actually rooted to debris and not to the wood itself. We'll see if we can salvage it. We'll try to work around this little patch and keep it on there. We even keep some of these pine needles and roots. This is when a pair of scissors comes in handy to clip off a couple of those ends there. But we clean it up the best we can. And then we'll give it another hose down with the water again, because on this initial cleaning you can never have too much water. And it always brings to light a few more things, like you see. There's this needle right here. And sometimes the water is better at knocking the debris out without damaging the moss too. Yeast in there, trying to get out. There you go. And there we go. A restored piece of living wood. It came to us very dry. So that's it. Just keep working your piece until you know it's nice and cleaned up and the moss is nice and fluffed up, and then you're going to want to move on to the next step, which is placing it into a restoration chamber or a humiditarium. And I'll show you guys how we build our simple ones out of some Sterilite containers here. Tub. And this is actually a terrarium tub, which is set up with a rock false bottom, charcoal, and a coir mat as the substrate. So we've got quite a few different things that we've been collecting, not just this moss. We've got about 10 species of moss. But we've also been collecting some really, really cool living wood and rock samples like these. And you can see these are living wood samples that were collected in the swamps or in the jungle here in Florida. And not too far away, honestly. We go around to different places and we hunt down these things, and people love to put these in their living terrariums or aquariums. And so this is once again a terrarium tub set up with a false bottom. And if you want to know how to build terrariums, I've learned a lot over the last few days. I would definitely check out Serpa Designs on YouTube. Serpa does some great videos about terrarium builds, false bottoms, explaining the science behind it. And that has done us a lot of justice here.